Hey guys, welcome to another video from the Parrot Bros. Now today we are going to be fitting a hidden cigarette lighter. Now this can be a cigarette lighter or it can be a USB adapter. It's entirely what you need. I've gone for the cigarette lighter because then I can plug in one of the Bluetooth transmitters, which also has two USB ports on it, so it's a win-win. We're also going to make it switch live because the one in the TT at the moment is currently permanent live, and I wanted to try and get away from always having the ashtray down because it's really annoying. So before we get stuck into it, let's jump into the intro. Now, there's a few places you can put this that are hidden. Quite a popular one is the ashtray just here. The ashtray, the sort of the driver's side cubby pocket. The only issue I have with that is now phones are so big, it's not really ideal. So unless you've got your phone on like a phone holder up here by the window, you won't be able to just put your phone in there to put it on charge. Also, it's just awkward to get into. I don't really use it as a pocket. Now, what I'm going to go for, and the reason I've got this out is to show you, is this trim. Now, this is, if you recognise, it goes down the side of your legs and is also underneath the central sort of console. And this is where that pocket slides. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be fitting it into the driver's side trim hidden. So it's basically going to sit here. We're going to put that in there. There's enough space in it behind, and also the cables are going to come up and go into the main under the relay section where we can get a switch live. These little sockets I bought on Amazon. You actually get two for a tenner, which is handy because I have two cars. They work fine. I've tested them. I've got one in the red one already, and they actually come with this nice little loom, which actually comes with two eye crimps all ready to go, which is perfect. They're the right size, and there's enough cable on this to be able to do the job. So all you'll really need is a small socket set, a little screwdriver just for popping off the clips of this, because on these they have these little clips and you don't want to damage them. These only have two fixings on each side, so nice and easy to remove. And then the wiring isn't too bad either. So yeah, bit set, because you'll need some Torx bits to get the trim off, including the trim underneath the steering wheel, which is a bit fiddly. I'll show you how it comes off. Small socket set and a drill and starrett cutter for the size of the item you're using. For this one, 32mm does it nice. But yeah, like I said, I was going to go for the USBs, and then I thought, well, at least that way I can have USBs and the FM transmitter. If you just want to be using it for charging phones or whatever, then the USB one is perfectly good. You can also use the 2.1 amp outlet, which is cool because you'll get fast charge as well. Right, so enough talking. Let's get stuck in. Okay, so we'll start with trim removal. Like I said, get yourself a hook tool or a small flathead screwdriver because you don't want to do any damage. And you want to just pop this little clip off here. You can get that in there. That just pulls out. And then that reveals the screws. Now, like I said, for the middle, there's only two. There's one there and one there. These are Torx 25s, so we get them undone. Okay, then moving on to this trim, which is the one underneath your steering wheel. There's a few fixings. Usually I miss one. Always seems to be the same one as well. So there's one there. There's one up here. You can see there. You've got one here under the cubby. And then there is a selection here. Again, you can either do this with your fingers or just get a small screwdriver or something. Just pull it out and across. And then these have fixings here, usually here, here. And I can't remember if that one does it. I think that one does the fuse box, so ignore that one. So I think it's just that one, and that one. You'll soon know if it's not right. And then you have to do the fun part, which is pulling this forward. Now this is a little bit fiddly. What I find is easier if you pull this forwards and down, and then you literally just get your fingers in here just to pop the corner, because basically this sits pushed into something. We'll discuss refitting, but basically there's a white, you see this white thing here? That actually, this pushes into it, and there's also another one at this end which you can't see. I'll show you when it's off. You also, once this is off, you're going to need to unplug the lighting, and you're going to need to unplug the OBD2 port. Very simple. This just has a clip at the top and the bottom. This, the cables are easy enough to pull out. They just have clips. I'll show you when it's off. So let me get all the screws undone and I'll show you removal. Okay, so for removal of this, once you've got all your screws undone, this will be set up like that. And what you want to do is just get your finger into behind it and then pull forwards. At the same time pulling this side, and it just pops out. You also need to pull this black trim here just a little bit further forwards, then it allows this to come out. Now you'll see here, I don't know how well you see it, but there's like a little plastic dowel here, and that just goes into this hole. Damn sunlight. Goes into that hole there, which stops it coming forwards. So then that will pull forwards nice once you've got all your screws undone. Like I said, it sort of pulls towards you and down at the same time. You can unplug these while you're here. This one's a clip either side. Then you give it a wobble. It's easier with 2 hands. And then this one, actually I'll tell you what, let me do them and I'll show you afterwards. Okay, so we got that removed. These are the 2 plugs that go into the light switch, which is just a case of squeezing those 2. And then these ones have clips on the end, which again you just squeeze the tabs together. The OBD port has 3 clips, 1 at the top and 2 on the bottom. Again, just give them a squeeze in and it'll pull off. And then we have here what someone has been messing about with in the past. Now what is interesting is there is a permanent feed for something. I'm not sure what, because I don't know what it is. So I might trace that while I'm here. But just to familiarise yourself quickly, these are the relays. And these are your ports that we're going to be using now. Yellow is switch live, which is the one we're going to be using. Red is permanent live, and then you have other things that you do not use. Now, this is your grounding point. You can use others if you want to, as long as it's a good, clean metal surface. But that is where you can put it on. I would recommend for anyone who is working with electrics to disconnect the battery. Just make sure you've got your radio code before doing so. You don't have to, but just be careful, because if you can imagine, it's very close between the terminals and anything metal. So if you just touch those 2 together, you will short it. So do not do that. Cable routing wise, they've done quite a nice route with this actually. So they've just cable tied it onto there and then across this here and then in. I'm guessing this was for some sort of phone connector or something. I'm going to have a little investigation. But basically, let's pull this trim off while we're here as well. So this one just pulls towards you, which will release it from the other one. And then once it's forward, you can pull it out. So it comes all the way out, and then you pull it forwards out of the footrest, and then it's there. That's interesting what we got here. Looks like a quote for something, for bodywork. But yeah, so there you have it ready to go. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be drilling a hole here, fitting it, and then what we'll do is we'll run all the cabling in, and then we'll just push the slack down the back and push it in. Now, it doesn't foul any of the heater controls or anything like that, because it sits literally just here. And then the cables will run up and then come up here and across. So nice install. Make sure you keep it out of the way of anything moving, like your steering column and your pedals, where the pedals come in and out. Last thing you want to do is get it crushed. But yeah, nice little install. Like I said, if you want to do it into this pocket, which is usually about here somewhere, you can go this way out of the pocket, because there's a gap sort of here. And then you can obviously just loop the cables and run them into there. Nice little job. Make sure you leave a little bit of slack for when you're pulling it off, or anyone in the future pulls it off. But I'll get my hole drilled and then we'll show the refitting. So now you've got your cabling installed. You've got your 12 volt switch line supply, which means it'll only work when your ignition's on. That's connected on there nicely. And then we've got our earth point earthed on there as well. Like I said, I'm going to run the cables similar route to the one that's existingly in there. I can't find what it is. I am going to do some more investigating at a later date, but I thought I'd wrap up this video, and I'll put it up on our socials once I find out what the mysterious power supply is. Now, importantly, you need to make sure you have a fuse, because obviously if anything gets plugged into there that's faulty, or for some reason this chafes away and can cut and then earth, you don't want to fire. This is why I like this little kit. It comes with a little fuse rated at 5 amps, because most of the stuff you're going to be putting in there is an amp or 2 amps, so always amp it correctly. But obviously if you want to plug in something like a cool box or something like that, it might draw a little bit more, or what your cable's rated for at least. So I'm just going to cable tie this up there, and as you can see, look, the cables reach perfectly. What they do is they'll tuck just over the corner there, and you see they come down there nicely. You need enough slack because obviously once you push your trim up, it'll push them up a little bit because there's a fix in there. And then that is it. I've drilled the fitting in there. Lovely. Nice little job there, look. And then worst case, you can always have that. And to be honest, the best part about this is you can't really see it. Because obviously if you imagine your head's up here, it's quite a nice little hidden port, that. It holds the socket, the USB, the cigarette lighter stuff quite well as well. It's not a loose one, which is cool. I like seeing stuff like this there, look. Little sticker, 221100. Some, maybe have a clear out from all the previous receipts where people have shoved them in that pocket and then they've vanished. What dates we got on, if there's any? 2006, 90 pence a litre. You gotta be kidding me. More than double that now. For 2006 it was 90 pence a litre. 17 litres for 16 quid. Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Right, before I make myself upset about the price of petrol, I'll let me get this finished off and then I'll show you what it's like when we're done. Just thought I'd show you, as you'd all love to know, we found the mysterious power supply. It actually does nothing. It was just the cable was caught up there. I've done a little bit more investigation and it literally just pulled out. So I've disconnected it and I'm going to be removing it. Never leave a power supply in there live because you never know what might touch it. But just thought I'd show you that because I thought it was interesting. So now you've got your cables all dressed neatly out the way. If you just cable tie them to a little cable up here, just runs them up nice and out of the way. They drop down and there's your install. And the thing is, it looks like you've never been there. And there's your little port, and you can honestly look, you can't even see it. Perfect. So what I was saying was that white clip there that looks like a duck's beak, and this one here, that's where the trim goes into it. You have to be really careful not to break them, because that one takes about half an hour to put back in again, because it's got a tiny little grub screw on the top facing downwards, which access is terrible. And then this one just pushes in. But yeah, so putting the trim back on isn't horrific, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you because I can't hold the camera at the same time as fitting it, but let me try and... Ooh, not very good at this YouTubing stuff. So you've also got to make sure you put your bits and bobs back in. Now this side needs to go above that little blower section. So I advise getting everything plugged back in again. It all pushes back in nicely, and then get it a little bit further back, and you've got to just try and make sure everything goes in where it should, which is always the fun part. It's like they make it tighter than it needs to be. You have to pull the side trim out as well when you're fitting this. To get this in, you have to pull this out to be able to push that in and up. Same at the bottom here, just pull it out a little bit. And then you've got to try and locate the dash into these, because otherwise it will hang really low and you'll end up kicking it. Once you've got it in at the bottom, then you can work on the top. Okay, so now we've got our install complete, we can test it. It's easier to come in from the side, because otherwise you've got to try and reach down blind. So there's your socket in there, look. And it's not turned on, which is a good thing. Then we'll turn the ignition on. And there you go, it lights up. Waiting for connection. There you go. So that is it done. Nice little install. What you got to do is pair your phone, or if you've got a USB port or whatever. But the best part is, look, you can't even see it. I mean, that's where you're sat. Look, there you go. Can't even see it. Don't have to have this thing open and flapping about and whatever, and it's switched live, which means you turn it off it goes. Perfect. And then plus, if you're going to have a phone holder like this, stick the old phone on there, then your cables are just going to run dead straight down and into there. Perfect. Nice little install. Let me know what you think of that, guys. So that was just literally it bugged me. I didn't like having it just with the pocket open and cables all over the place. Plus it was always permanent live, which means you always had to unplug it, plug it back in. I thought we'd do a nice little switched install. They're out of the way. Like I said, if you want a USB port, stick a double USB in there. You can also stick one in this cubby here. But for me, unless you're going to have your phone here, I wouldn't, just because your phone's not going to fit in there. It's going to half hang out. I mean, if you've got any kind of modern phone, it's going to hang out. Plus, this is just the stealth option. It's nice. You can also put one in your glove box if you wanted to. Same method. You might just need a little bit longer cable, and you'll have to go through the back of where the stereo is to get across there. But just a nice, tidy sort of OEM plus install. No one's ever going to know. If you don't want to use it, you can just pop the lid in it. It's all black. No one will notice. Plus, those trims. I mean, I've got... Oh, they're underneath the car there. I've got a couple of spares. You can pick them up for next to nothing, like pence. So at any point, if you did just want to remove it, you can literally just 2 screws either side, pop it out and off you go. But a nice little install. You can see, look, there's nothing to see. Everything's back how it should be. And there you have it. Hope you found that helpful. Our little secret USB or cigarettes socket, port, whatever you want to call it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.